Right.
that he
Like his
just,
identity was so affirmed by exterior concepts rather than that inner peace. And I think it's so interesting to watch. And I've got 2 siblings as well. So there was 3 of us. I'm the middle child
I
as
am
well.
too.
And so interesting to see how one, tract of family scenarios can lead down so many different paths. And as you're sharing, I'm literally placing in my family members similar roles to how you all decided to operate in your own knowing, right? Or lack thereof when it comes to trauma, or it comes to even just rearing. I mean, it doesn't have to be trauma. It could just be we were raised in the same home with different parents, or the same parents, or in this specific space. But trauma, I think, is an element for every child, whether it was in the home or outside of the home, whether it was through teachers or bullying or whatnot, world, circumstances. My curiosity for you, and I know it's obviously that protection element that we talked about with God and with Jesus being in your heart the way that it is, because you didn't do either, but you had to do both. There had to be the external element and expression. There also had to be the internal, like, release and processing in order for you to come into this union, which is essentially mind, body, spirit, or Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Like, you're experiencing all of the Trinity, which I talk to a lot of people about. Like, our wholeness is replicated. It was exampled to us in that way. And therefore we are a mind, we are a body, we are a soul. And we have to learn how to operate all of those entities healthily in order to, I honestly feel, live in the abundance and the prosperity of heaven on earth.
Do you know how we do that?
Tell me more.
This is my belief, and through my research, I think that God planted the seed of expectation in every single man, woman, and child from the beginning of time, from Adam and Eve, whenever you want to start. I don't, if you want to go back before even that,
Yeah.
as some people want to. The seed of expectation has been planted in the human being to become what God intended man to be. I mean, Adam and Eve went against God, ate the apple. He didn't meet their expectations. I constantly ask, what is God's expectation of me? You know what I know what God's expectation of me is, and every single one of us, I believe? To be good. Simple. Yeah. God doesn't complicate things. He's got it down pat, man. He knows. Keep it simple and keep it good, and everything will always work out to the plan. It's a natural flow.
Well, and I think about, there's this question that a series of 3 questions that we always ask to our kiddos, because as you're saying that, I'm processing through my own journey of that exterior element, kind of like your brother did, where like accolades and achievement and everything on the outside was what brought me what I thought my success was, my identity. And it wasn't until I really had a face-to-face with Jesus that I was, stripped of that. But I'm thinking of the mother or father or even child who has been told that you have to be a good girl or a good boy. And it actually inhibits them from, I think, honestly, expressing their fullness of emotion, because they're generally saying it based on, don't act that crazy, or don't do that thing, or come over here and sit down next to me. And they don't get to express themselves in the entirety of how God would want them to, or their emotion. So we ask these. Yeah, go ahead. And I'll tell you
I'm dying.
No, please. I see you're like jumping at the bit. Tell me.
In our expectations, when God planted this seed, one of the things I learned at 9 years old was that the expectations that people put on me did not matter. It did not matter what other people said, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. It did not matter. What matters is that seed of expectation and how it affects your core beliefs, what your core belief system is. And people say, well, 9-year-olds, you're not going to know your core beliefs. Oh, yes, you do. You know already whether right and wrong. You know what it is. Even infants, when they start to learn about expectations, think about an infant. We don't think about them with expectations, but why do they cry?
Right.
They have the expectation to be fed,
Yeah.
change my diaper, do those things. So how we learn about expectations is an infant and progress through with them. They grow. The expectations and their management become paramount because it's how we grow and become creative. We either come from a point of positive expectations or negative. I'm sure that you have run into people that have said, oh, I can't do that, I can't do this. It's always the negative. I pick them out real quick. And I try to, that's the people that I love working with people who say no all the time to everything, because they're limiting everything that God has planned for you. Everything that has been planned for you, you're saying no to. And how are you going to meet your whatever success means? You know, people often ask me the question, what is success? And I said, success is living each day and being happy at the end of the day and being fulfilled and saying, I did something today that was good. It can be the most simplest thing as making your bed in the morning. It could be saving 100 lives. It could be saving one life. As long as you keep on the positive track, and we all get the negative part of this. I mean, you can't help but some point be negative, but that's why managing your expectations becomes so important, because you learn how to get rid of those negatives real quick and get back into the positive and seeing what God has planned for us, what he has, because he has made us these great creatures, and we're all so unique and so loving and so kind when we learn and open and let ourselves be who we were meant to be.
Well, I think about expectations as you're talking comparative to like comparison, right? And I have the word, I set my word over my annual birthday year, not the calendar year. So I'm almost to the end of my year, and the word is release. And when someone was asking about this word, I was like, well, you know, it's not just like let go and let God. Like that's not the intention. It was really around this idea of expectation. So I really love that we're having this conversations, because it was this idea that I need to not only release other people's expectations of me, which you just mentioned, and I was like, come on, preach with me. But the other one, what I was saying was to release my expectations personally and allow God's expectations to be revealed, so that I don't strive anymore, that I am not also looking at a comparison of, oh, I'm 35 and I should have this so much in my 401k, and this person has this house and this car, and again, exterior driven, or their satisfaction versus my satisfaction. So my question associated to that, as I'm still on the finale of this experience and experiment, is how do you look to expectation and also not get, you know, discontent, or if you're a visionary, right? My expectations are so high. I have like such huge expectations. And I believe that God gifted me that sense of vision ability, that sense of passion, drive. But when they're not met, and then kind of being like, oh, a bit deflated that it didn't happen as I anticipated it would.